U.S. Citizenship Requirements. To become a U.S. citizen, all naturalization applicants have to meet the following requirements unless they qualify for an exemption or apply based on their U.S. military service. Here's a breakdown of the 8 requirements. Minimum age. You must be at least 18 years old to apply for naturalization, unless you're applying based on any period of wartime military service, in which case you may be any age. Continuous and physical presence. You have to continuously live in the United States as a green card holder for at least 5 years, or at least 3 years if you're married to a U.S. citizen. Continuously means you didn't take any trips outside of the U.S. for more than 6 months in the 3 to 5 years you're required to have a green card, plus the extra period while U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services processes your U.S. citizenship application. This means you're allowed to leave the United States. Just make sure you return within 6 months every time. Important: if you leave the United States for more than 6 months as a green card holder, the USCIS will presume that you have abandoned your permanent residence in the United States and they'll deny your U.S. citizenship application. Learn how to overcome that presumption by clicking the link in our description. Demonstrating physical presence. Demonstrating physical presence means you must have physically lived in the United States for at least half of 5 years, roughly 913 days, or at least half of 3 years, 548 days, if you're married to a U.S. citizen. You can take trips outside of the U.S. while you wait the 3 to 5 years, but be mindful of the requirements for continuous presence. Residency. This requirement is different from the continuous and physical presence requirement we just told you about. To satisfy the residency requirement, you must have been a resident of the state or USCIS district where you plan to apply for citizenship for at least 3 months immediately before you apply for naturalization. State also includes the following: the District of Columbia, Puerto Rico, Guam, the U.S. Virgin Islands, and the Commonwealth of the Northern Mariana Islands. The USCIS district basically refers to the geographical area associated with a particular USCIS field office, and that's determined by your zip code. This means that the address you provide on your naturalization application has to be where you've established residency, example, where you've registered to vote, pay taxes, or have a state ID or driver's license. Important things to remember. If you move after filing Form N-400, officially called the Application for Naturalization, you have to notify the USCIS of your new address within 10 days of relocating to your new home so they can forward your naturalization file to the appropriate USCIS field office. The USCIS will consider your residency to be the location you specify as your current physical address on your Form N-400, even if you decide to apply for naturalization 90 days early. Good moral character. Good moral character is broadly defined by the USCIS as character that measures up to the standards of average citizens. Here's what that means. You did not commit certain crimes like murder, illegal gambling, or defrauding the U.S. government for immigration purposes during the period that begins 3 or 5 years before you applied for naturalization and ends when you've taken the oath of allegiance. Don't lie to a USCIS officer during your naturalization interview, and you don't receive 2 or more DUI convictions in the 3 or 5 years before applying for naturalization and up until the oath of allegiance. English proficiency and civics knowledge. As part of the naturalization process, you will need to pass a 2-part naturalization test, an English language test that evaluates your reading, writing, and speaking skills, and a civics test that evaluates your knowledge of U.S. history and government. Military and civil service registration. You must be willing to serve in the U.S. military or perform civil services of the United States if you're ever called upon to do so, which generally means registering with the Selective Service System if you're a male of a certain age. The Selective Service System is a government program that collects and maintains information on individuals who may be able to serve in the military by draft. Selective service registration is required if you haven't turned 26, the 3 or 5 year wait period before you've applied for naturalization. But if you're past the age of 26, the USCIS will then consider other factors, including how many years you've demonstrated good moral character. Allegiance to the United States. Finally, in order to become a U.S. citizen, you have to demonstrate an attachment to the U.S. Constitution. Attachment means that you believe, support, and are willing to defend the principles of the U.S. Constitution by accepting the democratic process and promising to obey the law. How do you demonstrate this attachment? You'll attend a public swearing-in ceremony where you and other naturalization applicants will recite the Oath of Allegiance, which is the final step of the naturalization process. During the ceremony, you'll be asked to make sure that you understand the following. You're taking the oath of the allegiance voluntarily. You're giving your full allegiance to the United States by renouncing your allegiance to all other countries where you claim citizenship. You accept all the responsibilities of a U.S. citizen, including military and civil service if necessary, see above, and have no intention of not fulfilling these duties. You must complete this last step before you can become a U.S. citizen.
If you found this video useful, it would mean a lot to us if you could hit the like button and comment below to let us know what you think. You can also ask your own immigration questions in the comments below. If you want to make sure not to miss any of our future videos, we invite you to subscribe here on YouTube and be sure to click the notification icon so you can be alerted whenever we publish a new video. Also, don't forget to follow us on Facebook where you can watch our regular immigration Q&A live streams.